Hello, my name is Dr. Dan Wedding, and this is DrWedding VB20, Writing to External Data Files. Assume you've written a program that will estimate what your Roth IRA will be worth every year for the next 30 years. Now what? You should not have to run the program every time you want to check a value. Instead, you may want to save the information to a data file that can be opened, emailed, or copied. Learning how to save information in a file is a very important skill to learn. It is also very easy. Writing to a file is the same as writing to a text box or label. The only difference is you're directing the information to the file instead of a text box. Opening a file takes two steps. First, create a StreamReader variable. An example is shown below. Second, point the StreamReader variable to the file you want to write to. An example is shown below. This command has two parameters. The first is the path and the name of the file you want to write to. The second parameter is a Boolean. If you enter true, any existing data in the file will be saved. The new output will be appended to the bottom of the file. If you select false, the old file will be erased and a new file will be created each time the program runs. At this point, you've connected your VB project to an external data file. But before you start to write to the file, you need to make one more decision. Do you want the program to write the data every time you issue the write command, or do you want the program to write the data once when the program ends? There may be a reason you want every line to be written to the file as the program is running. An example is an error log. You may need to see the last message before the program crashed. To have the program run in this mode, set the AutoFlush property to true, as shown below. There may be a reason you write the file only if the program completes. An example is a banking statement or a sales report. When configured with the AutoFlush set to false, as shown below, all of the write commands are saved up and written to the external file when the program completes or the external file is closed. Writing to the file is as easy as appending text to a text box. Formatting, appending with ampersand, writing text strings, writing variables, and advancing to a new line using VB-CRLF works the same. The command to write to the external file is write, and an example is shown below. If you want to advance to a new line in an external file, you can do it two different ways. The first way is to use the write command and append a VB-CRLF to the character string as shown below. You can also use the command WriteLine. This command will automatically add a VB-CRLF to the end of the string. You should close the file when you're done using it. The command to close the file is close, as shown below. If you have the AutoFlush property set to false, this is when the data is written to the file. When button 1 is pressed, the following example will open a file, write Hello World to it, and close the file. The best way to learn how to write to an external data file is with an example. So let's get started. I've opened up a new project named VB20, and I've opened up the code section and commented it. In order to write to an external data file, first I'm going to have to create a StreamWriter variable. When I declare this StreamWriter, Visual Basic will automatically import system.io for me. Next, I have to point the StreamWriter to an external data file. This command will point my output file to an external data file at the location :/mydata, and the file name will be VB20 data. The Boolean true will allow me to append to this file. Now I'm going to set AutoFlush equal to true. This will write the information to the external data file each time the write command is executed. Let's go back to the form and add a button. As the text on the button and the name of the button suggest, every time I press this button, I'm going to write Hello World to the external data file. This button will issue the command myoutputFile.write, and I'm going to write the words Hello World. I'm also going to add a new line character. Next, I'm going to go back to the form. I'm going to open up the subroutine form closing. This is exactly the opposite of form load. It will actually run when the program is closing. To do this, I will select the form, go to the events under the lightning bolt button, and look for form closing. I'll double click on form closing, and that will open up a new subroutine that will execute as the form closes. At this point, I'm going to close my external data file. I'm going to add a few comments and run the program. I've added two windows to the right side of the screen. The first window is the folder My Data. This is where the file will be created. I also have Notepad open so we can look at the file after it's created. Let's run this program and see what happens. As soon as the program opened, the file was created. Every time I press Write Hello to the file, I'm going to write Hello World to that external data file. So I pressed it once, twice, 3 times. Now I'm going to open up the external data file using Notepad. Because I pressed the button 3 times, Hello World was written to the file 3 times. I'm going to make one quick change to this program and run it again. I'm going to change the text that's going to be written to the external data file. I'm also going to close the external data file. When I run the program, press the button, and close the program, now I can reopen the data file. This Boolean set to true is the reason the external data file is being appended to. If I change it to false, the original file will be overwritten. Now, when I open the data file again, the previous data was lost because the data file was overwritten. Again, true will append to the data file, and false will overwrite the data file. As you can see, writing to an external data file is very easy. In the next video, we'll learn how to read values in from an external data file. This is a little more complicated. In review, the steps to write to an external data file are listed below. Step 1. Create a global StreamWriter variable. Step 2. Point the StreamWriter variable to the file you want to write to, along with a Boolean that determines if the file should be appended to or overwritten each time the program runs. This is often done in form load. Step 3. Decide when the data is written to the file. When AutoFlush is true, the data is continuously written to the file. When AutoFlush is false, the data is written when the project closes or the external file is closed. Step 4. Write to the file using the write command. If you use WriteLine, then a new line command is automatically added to the end of the write statement. Step 5. Close the file when you are done. The command to close the file is close. You can close the file at any time, but it's often put in the form closing subroutine. If you have the AutoFlush property set to false, this command will cause the data to be written to the external data file. If you find these videos useful, please like and subscribe. It is the only way I can continue to make these videos.